Okay, well, I appreciate.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Power Nation TV's broadcast for the 20th of November, 2025. Of course, we're here on Thursday at the Talladega Challenge at RollingThunderGaming.com. And it's going to be a good one because we're in playoff round 2 now. Had some eliminations. We're going to talk about all that stuff later. I'm Blaine Donlin, of course, joined with Mr. Michael Norman and Seth Cole.
Stop filling, woo!
Absolutely, and man, I'll tell you what, we had an incredible first round of the playoffs. Saw some big names get eliminated, but we always give this precursor when it's around playoff time because the points always seem to be so close. We always give the disclaimer, especially after elimination races. We say, hey, tune in next week because the story we give you at the close of a broadcast may be entirely different 1 week later at the start of the next broadcast. And that's the case of what we have here coming into tonight. When we left you last Thursday night, we gave you the 4 drivers that we mathematically had eliminated from the championship hunt. We had that with the updated point standings. What we also gave for a disclaimer is during the course of the week, admins look back at incidents that occurred during the course of the race, and potential post-race EOLs can jumble up the field and can affect the playoff standings. That is exactly what happened in the final 2 laps of last week's elimination race. Both Greg Palmer and Ulysses Sandoval ended up getting hit with post-race EOLs in the final lap and a half of that race. Palmer, a playoff contender, Ulysses Sandoval, who was, I believe, 4th when he crossed the start-finish line to take the checkered flag. What did those 2 EOLs do? Well, they actually dropped Greg Palmer from above the cut line to below the cut line at the close of the race, and Sandoval's EOL elevated John Godfrey up a couple of positions. So now John Godfrey was leaving the broadcast last week, eliminated from the playoffs. He is one of the 8 representatives now in the next round of the playoffs, joining Brian Schilling, Denny Carroll, Josh Metallic, Chuck McClure, Joe DeSpirito, and the 2 playoff drivers that won during the first round, Grant Wesley and Rodney Sullins. So, Michael, obviously, as we see from last weekend to this week, there's a lot of pressure on these drivers, not only to get the wins to lock themselves in or get those maximum points to advance to the next round, but don't make mistakes because just one wrong move on the racetrack could be the difference between whether you're battling for the championship in a couple weeks' time or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't remember 100% if R2G has a appeal system when it comes to stuff like that, but
they do.
Okay, so then obviously you got to launch your appeals if you feel like you're justified in anything. But yeah, simple little mistakes like that can cost you so much at tracks like these and races like these, and there's very little margin for error.
So we can give officially now the 4 drivers that are not going to be competing for the championship any longer were eliminated in that first round, included Brian Rawson, Bernie Mobbs, we mentioned Greg Palmer, fell below the cut line with the EOL penalty. And how about this one? Who had this on their bingo card? The defending champion of the series from 1 season ago, Jeremy Jeffries, eliminated in the first round. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy.
So now we're going to see, so far, 2 for 2 in playoff drivers, picking up playoff victories. Of course, when Rodney Sullins did it 2 weeks ago, it locked him into the playoffs, and he was able to spend last week maybe getting a little bit more experience. He was able to just go out for a nice Thursday drive. Now the pressure's back on for all 8 of these drivers, and I feel like, again, much like we talked about in the first playoff race, we are back into the mentality of win or bust, because granted, you do have next week to be able to build off points if you don't get the victory here tonight. But that automatic golden ticket into the Final Four, that's just like a carrot dangling in front of the donkey right there.
I'm not sure, trying to figure out what it is you were trying to say before you said that. But yeah, yes, I agree.
What, for carrots?
I'm hungry. I am hungry now for carrots, yes.
But yeah, so getting the win is always the biggest thing that you can do to advance yourself into the next round, besides just a good finish.
And there are 28 other drivers in the field here tonight that are not playoff or championship eligible, and they are looking to go to victory lane for many of them for the first time this season as well. So it will be a tough task for our remaining 8 championship drivers. Also, We're in the closing stages of the bracket challenge coming into tonight as well. I believe we sit with our final 4 drivers. Our focus tonight will be on Billy Elliser versus Donnie Garrett. The winner of that matchup will take on Brian Rawson next week. Winner of that matchup then will face off against the winner of the winner's side of the bracket, Denny Carroll. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here, just about, I believe, 3 or 4 more races left to determine the Bracket Challenge Championship, and there have been some interesting underdog stories in this one. I mean, Denny Carroll, currently waiting in the wings, was the number 2 seed going in, but tonight we're looking at 12 seed versus 27 seed, and number 24 seed is waiting in the wings for next week. So we've had some underdog stories of drivers that maybe not have gotten their season started off all that well, but they've performed here when it matters the most in their respective bracket matchups and looking to win the whole thing. We mentioned about Jeremy Jeffries, defending champion, not going to win the championship overall here in Season 66. Brian Schilling was the defending champion of the Bracket Challenge. He's since been eliminated, so we're guaranteed a brand new winner of the Bracket Challenge here in Season 66 as well.
Getting ready to grid up here, just on board with Josh Metallic, if everybody's wondering whose eyes we are in. Looking at the back of that 56.
We had, I believe it was just when we came on the air here, on the FRN side, we had Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
And that number 21 with the patented Let's Go Corey in the chat. Gave him a little bit of luck here tonight because he draws the long straw and the pole position in the random qualifying order tonight. That coveted number 1 pit stall as well. And he's going to share that first row with Robert Spring. Brian Schilling, highest of our playoff contenders that are still in the hunt, will roll off on the inside of row number 2 with Dennis McCarthy. John Godfrey, he didn't know he was battling for a championship last week. Now he's in that Elite 8. He will be back in row 3 with Jeff Crivello. Bob Seminara and Greg Palmer will make up row 4. Rodney Sullins went to victory lane in the first playoff race 2 weeks ago. Will look to go back-to-back in the round openers as he will complete the top 10 with Ulysses Sandoval in row 5. Robert Breedlove, he's back in row 6 with the other driver that won back during the round of 12, that being Grant Wesley. Row 7 will find Jeffrey Elliott alongside of Craig Hagley. Row 8, playoff contender Josh Metallic. He'll share that row with Donnie Garrett. Row 9, going to be Richard Martin and Doug Hulick. And completing your top 20 will be Mark Paglia and Bernie Mobbs. Row 11 finds Cy Jones and playoff driver Joe DeSpirito. Mid-pack there for him. Same for Chuck McClure, who'll be back in row 12 with Jeremy Jeffries. Glenn Harris shares row 13 with Bobby Farrell. Brian Lovell and playoff driver Denny Carroll, they're back in row 14. Top 30 completed with Terry Bombard and Bob Dixon. Mike Mangialardi, he'll be back in the 16th row alongside of Brian Rawson. Row 17 finds Keith Bynum and Billy Elliser, and bringing up the rear of the field in row 18 for our 36-car starting lineup tonight will be Pat McCarsky and Doug Woolley. You know, we documented this. We talked a little bit about it before we came on the air here, Blaine. I mean, this is playoff racing. Normally, when you're not in the hunt for a championship, we'll see the numbers dwindle down in field size. Not the case here on Thursday nights.
No, this is a top league, right? Everybody wants to be a part of this thing no matter what. Even if they're not in the playoffs, it's still amazing racing. It doesn't even matter.
Al Sullivan's in our chat saying glad he doesn't have to figure out who's in and who's out would give him a headache. I'll tell you, too many times I've ended up saying this guy's definitely in, this guy's definitely out, and ended up the following week finding my math completely wrong. So I kind of leave with the disclaimer, wait and see, tune in next week.
That's
and
it.
We'll be driving that phrase to death next week as well in the second elimination race.
And we do know, you look at those numbers across the top of the screen now, that list got shorter, so those drivers are eligible to move on.
66 laps to run here tonight. Will we see a driver guarantee themselves into the Final Four, or will it all come down to points in these next 2 races? As Randy Waugh going to lead them through 1 and 2. Schilling will slot into 2nd. Godfrey there into 3rd. No momentum on that top line in the early going. One dropping back towards the rear of the field. That's Denny Carroll. We've seen him do that a couple of times here last few weeks. Kind of drifting to the rear of the field, finding a safe place, waiting to make the charge up there to the front. It's worked so far, advanced him into the round of 8. We'll see if the strategy will work to his benefit to advance into the final 4 as well.
We were saying before in the race there that I think it was it Palmer that was Palmer and Sandoval that got the post-race penalties.
Correct.
And it looks like the reasons, if you're wondering what the reasons were, Palmer hooked the 21. And this all happened in the final lap because we did have that three-way photo finish, which was crazy. 0.002 second gap between Wesley winning that thing. And yeah, the yellow did come out on that lap. Of course, it's raced back, so it made for a fantastic finish. But yeah, it was Palmer hooks the 21, and unfortunately Ulysses got a hold of the 17. And they were both docked a lap.
And the incredible thing about that 3-wide photo finish as well was Jeremy Jeffries was involved in that situation. He was in must-win territory and came up third in that photo finish with Mark Pagli, and the eventual winner, Grant Wesley, was oh so painstakingly close to advancing to the next round and defending his championship from 1 season ago.
That's a clip that I should make into a short because it was awesome.
I mentioned about Denny Carroll dropping to the inside on the back straightaway and kind of migrating to the back. It looks like he may have lost too much momentum. The 41 is way behind the field now, so I don't know if he had an issue or just was not able to catch into the draft once the field thundered around him, but he's in trouble right now. He's kind of fallen into needing a caution territory here. There's a thing being conservative in a race, but there's also being a little too conservative and may have overstepped that line just a little bit. Now, granted, the lucky thing for him right now is if a wreck does occur, if a massive wreck takes place, he's got plenty of time to slow up before he encroaches in on where that mayhem is happening. So he's definitely hoping a yellow flag comes out sooner rather than later, though, because we definitely have seen the difference in speed when you're in a thundering pack as opposed to single car speed. It can be anywhere from 10 to 15 miles per hour difference.
Well, even being on the tail end of that pack too is always like a really bad spot to sort of be in, because without the push, one little move wrong, you can lose all that space.
Like they're trying to get an outside line going there. Craig Hagley leading the charge up there. John Godfrey, Bob Seminara also. Now Robert Breedlove's going to jump up in front of them in that Pepsi Challenger throwback. It is throwback night, so you see a lot of the throwback schemes out on the racetrack this evening, including that AC Delco Chevrolet of Brian Schilling, who mathematically in the points was the last driver to advance into this round of 8. And trying to be the first driver to advance into the final 4 as Rodney Sullins now jumps up to that outside line. Schilling will migrate his way up there as well. Oh, they stacked up a bit there on entry. Breedlove and Hagley drifting up the track. That'll lose a bit of momentum there for that second lane.
That top line is hustling.
They were able to get back together. Whoa, again, a little bit of a drift up there. This time it's going to shuffle Breedlove out of line. They were able to recover through the center of 1 and 2 to build that run you were talking about down the back straightaway, but now they're going to lose that momentum again through the tri-oval, especially now that the third lane is forming. Breedlove, he got shuffled out, but he's got some help in the rearview mirror because Palmer, Wesley, Jeffries, they were all up there forming a third line. Like the middle line's going to prevail here down the back straightaway. Schilling clear of all 3 lanes. Sullins tried to do the same, and Craig Hagley with a big wiggle as he was in the middle 3 wide.
And all it takes is just one little slip up, and bam, that's the entire field. Especially if it starts near the front of the pack.
Oh, Breedlove dropping down.
And apologies for being quiet. Turns out my mic was muted, and I didn't even know it. I had to suppress a sneeze earlier.
Hit the cough button and forgot to turn it back on again.
Pretty much.
Yep. Probably wondering why we were interrupting you, but that's why we couldn't hear you. So there you go.
Obviously, with these 2 race rounds they have in the playoffs, one would certainly think that the pressure is more obvious during an elimination race. Honestly, I think it's these opening races of the round because you don't necessarily know where to position yourself to not be involved in a wreck when and if it takes place. At least when you leave here tonight, you're going to know what your scenario is going into next week. Am I already locked in? Do I need to get points? Do I need to win? Here tonight, you're basically setting the stage for that, and you don't know necessarily which side of the coin you're going to be on when you go into next week.
Yep, it's going to make you push. It's going to make pressure so much on you to try to get a good finish here that, the first races in these playoffs make the most amount of pressure you could think of when it comes to being in a playoff spot.
Elliott with a move there to the outside of last week's runner-up, Mark Paglia. Getting some help from Josh Metallic, that Ryan Newman throwback. The points did reset at the conclusion of last week. Brett Wesley coming into tonight 4 points in hand over Joe DeSpirito, 6 back to Chuck McClure, then a 3-way tie for 4th. Metallic, Denny Carroll, Rodney Sullins, John Godfrey, Brian Schilling sit tied for 7th, 18 points back with a 36-car field. Plenty of opportunity, plenty of points on the table for both the 7-Eleven and the 4 to point their way up into the top 5, if not the top 3. But you got to think that for those that are thinking must win here tonight, those 2 drivers might be the most anxious to try and get a checkered flag here this evening to make absolutely certain that whatever type of a points gap they come into this race in doesn't matter.
There it is.
And we've got ourselves a wreck. McClure was in the middle of that as Paglia got turned up into his driver's side door, and we've got cars spinning all through the tri-oval.
That have been bumper grab, you think?
Could very well have been. Cycling through, I am seeing, at least at this point, only one of our playoff contenders, that being the 17 of Chuck McClure, who got some of the initial contact after the 28 of Paglia got turned up the racetrack. Everybody else looks like they were non-playoff contenders, and we'll obviously have to look back at the replay, but I'm not seeing any drivers leaving the scene of the accident with massive damage, and the 41 of Denny Carroll just now entered into the vicinity where the wreck was, so that caution saved him a ton.
Oh yeah, I get you. He's thanking his lucky stars right now, actually.
Yeah, he had lots of time to park it if he had to.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked like the 931, just a bump on the 28 and stacked them up.
Yeah, the 931 of Breedlove also had the 7 of Cy Jones right behind him, maybe pushing him forward.
Pat McCarskey in the middle of that hornet's nest didn't even take any damage.
Wow.
Check this out in the replay here. And he's mid-pack when this happens, and he got through this without a scratch.
Another driver you may want to go on board with afterwards is one of our playoff drivers, Joe DeSpirito. He went halfway down into the infield grass to avoid this wreck, nearly lost it with that lack of grip down there, but was able to gather it back up before he hit the outside wall at the exit of the tri-oval, so may have saved his championship hopes right there as well with that miss.
Some off-roading, 180 mile an hour off-road style with no tread.
Wow.
Oh, see that, and he stayed on the right side of that commitment cone too, so he wouldn't get a speeding penalty.
Yep.
That is crazy.
Keith
Talk about
Bynum,
move
Jeff
that
situational
was.
Woolley, Jeff
awareness.
Crivello, Terry Bombard, Doug Woolley, Dennis McCarthy, amongst some of those that were involved. John Godfrey was able to also find a way down into the grass to avoid this wreck too. He was right behind the incident.
That move by Despirito couldn't have been better. I mean, if there had been a car there, that would have been bad. But there wasn't, so it doesn't matter.
Again, just kind of looking back through this incident too, I don't necessarily see any hits that would indicate to me that it would take any drivers out of this race or have any driver off the pace. Now, again, it can be very deceptive. What looks like a harmless incident could end up having a driver with aero damage the rest of the race and not being able to stay up in the lead pack. Only time will tell once these drivers get up to full song. We do have a driver out of the race, and that is the 26 of Billy Elliser. And that is an important DNF in regards to the bracket challenge, because remember, he came in tonight in the quarterfinals facing Donnie Garrett. With Elliser out of the race, that is an automatic advancement for Donnie Garrett, so we know next week it will be himself and Brian Rawson who will fight to see who's going to face Denny Carroll for the overall bracket challenge championship.
Yeah, the bracket thing is a pretty cool little setup, because okay, you might not be in the playoffs, but then there's this other little thing going on too. So there's a chance to win a couple different ways.
One of the cool things about Rolling Thunder Gaming, and it doesn't happen just on Thursday nights, it happens on Mondays and Wednesdays as well, where they have what's called the Challenger Series. It gives everybody a chance to race for something. If you're not in the hunt for the playoffs, if you're not in the hunt for the championship, there's something else that you can still battle for. And I think that's a great initiative here for Rolling Thunder Gaming, because it gives drivers the incentive to show up every week, be competitive, because they know that while they may not be in the hunt for one thing, they can certainly stay in the conversation for another. Like, we got the lights out here on the pace car. Jeffrey Elliott is going to get us back under the green. Rodney Sullivan's a lineup to his outside with Randy Waugh and Brian Schilling, row 2. Greg Palmer, Grant Wesley, Donnie Garrett, Josh Metallic, Jeremy Jeffries, and Richard Martin going to complete the top 10. We'll be going green here in just a moment, but we've known about this. The broadcast team has for about a week and a half now. We were not certain, just out of respect of privacy, how much we could divulge. But one of the members of the RTG family, Bob Dixon, has been going through a very tough time physically as of late. And last night, when covering the Aero 88 series, per his request, Bob Dixon, we brought him into the broadcast booth, and he was able to give an update publicly of what has been going on. Both he and Jeff Supta requested that we also give our Thursday night viewers the update as well. So this is what Bob Dixon gave us for an update of what has been going on with him currently.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. 2 weeks ago, we got called in. My wife and I got called in for a special appointment with my cancer doctor. And just to whittle things down just a little bit, he says, Bob, all this chemo we're giving you, the nuclear shots and the medication, we think is hurting you more than helping you. So we're going to take you off all of it and watch you for a few weeks and see how things go. And I said, okay, you giving up on me? He says, no, we're not giving up on you. We just, we want to monitor you and see how your blood count goes, because my hematoma count is 7.4, that's low, and my white count is 3.4, and that's very low. So I looked at him, I said, huh, you going to give me a time frame here? How much time do I have? And he said, 2 to 5 weeks. And that was a week and a half ago. And I said, you're giving me 2 to 5 weeks to live. He said, that's our closest estimate. So we left and had a long, tearful drive home. And yesterday, the day before yesterday, we received a notice for another appointment to redo my blood again next week and to see where I stand. So I've had too many people call me and talk to me and say, Bob, we know you've lost a lot of weight. I'm down to 117 pounds. So we know you've lost a lot of weight, but you look too good, you act too good, you sound too good to have 2 to 5 weeks left to live. And I said, yeah, that's what we're kind of thinking, but we don't know. It's in the Lord's hand, and we're going to leave it at that, and we'll just have to see what happens in the month of December. And that kind of brings us up to date. Okay, well, I appreciate it.
So obviously we are hoping for the best possible report in that upcoming appointment there for Bob Dixon, but want everyone to be aware of that. Bob wanted everyone to be aware of that. Our thoughts and prayers are certainly with him and his entire family.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really tough hearing that to anybody, really, and then to someone in our racing community. It puts a little bit of a damper, but that no matter what happens, there'll always be a racetrack out there for him.
It's been a tough year overall, really, for
Well said,
the
by
NR
the way,
2003
Michael.
online community. I mean,
was good.
we still feel the loss of Robbie Nisus, Wiley Coate, most recently David Cannon. Talked last night with Richard Martin. It's now 6 months since he lost his wife, and we found out just a couple days ago that Pascal McCarthy's wife passed away. I mean, it's just, man.
It's like we're surrounded by it, but you can't let it bring you down. You've got to race in remembrance, as you will. Especially for Pat. To be honest, I'm very surprised, like you said earlier on, before we even started, to see him here tonight because of that loss. But you've got to get out there. You've got to race. It's the one thing that these racers do to take their mind off of everything that happened. It's the one time they can come out and be surrounded by friends, to be able to get out here and do what they like to do. And even though it may not be a real style event, but to them, this is everything, especially for some fun.
And here's the thing, too, because, a part that we didn't include there in that interview, I mentioned that Jeff Supta was also up in the broadcast booth with us. He runs the Wednesday night league here in RTG. And he mentioned the fact that in real life, he doesn't really have any friends. These here in this community are the friends that he's got. And honestly, with being able to be surrounded by friends, by this community, feel that support, while some people look at this and see drivers out here racing, in a sense as well, with what goes on in personal lives, it's kind of a form of therapy as well.
Yeah. It's amazing. Because people who are passionate about this sim, I mean, well, look at all these guys. It's a Thursday night, and this place is packed. 38 leads lap number 19, not number 20.
It almost makes me wish any series I used to run was as good as this.
And going back to Bob Dixon, too, he does a really fun thing in some other leagues, too. At the end of the race, he'll put the replay through the analyzer, and he does Bob's factoids. So, that's going to be gone now. So that's...
Yeah, the factoids are a highlight.
Yeah, it's cool. If you hang around after the race, he's gonna run the numbers, and he's gonna give you the program he uses it gives him stuff I can't see. All kinds of cool numbers and lap numbers of like when certain speeds were broken, and it's pretty neat, the stuff he comes out with that. And if Bob's around, it's always Bob's factoids after the race, because we used to have him on the broadcast all the time for the Talladega Nights Racing League, because it was just a part of the post race. Bob would always do the factoids, and then we'd get to the interviews, or vice versa, however it played out.
And I had the opportunity to race in a number of those Talladega Nights races, and you'd have 30 to 35 drivers that would show up, and nobody left when the race was over until Bob Dixon did the factoids. It was a staple. Everybody wanted to wait around to hear those statistics.
Yeah, because knowing that you had the fastest lap, like right now I can see that. I can see Jeremy Jeffries right now has the fastest lap at 200.703 miles per hour.
That's fast.
Bob would actually have the lap that happened on and then have the top 5 fastest laps. So it's pretty neat. I believe it's Replay Analyzer because it breaks down all the times you change tires and it gives you all those stats. These guys are oddly single file.
Yeah. I was noticing that as
maybe they
well.
know we're talking about some stuff right now. So like, hey boys, we're just going to drive in a straight line for 5 laps.
Our closest double file formation is outside the top 10, around 14th, 15th place, where Jeffrey Elliott, Jeremy Jeffries are trying to get something going on the bottom. But yeah, everybody up front just kind of seems to have settled into a single file formation and log some laps here. Top 4, all playoff contenders with Sullins, Schilling, Wesley, and Metallic. Demar right now the highest running non-playoff contender, completing that top 5.
Question is if they can stay up there.
Oh no, Seminara? Yeah. That's not going to bring out anything.
Around off the nose of Joe DeSpirito.
We'll back that up and see what happened.
He was in the 10th position at the time, and that was an odd one because it almost looked like the 712 slowed a little bit. I don't know if it was an uneven bump or not. He just lost power. He lost speed. Something went wrong on Seminara's car.
It died. I'm watching the replay from in his cockpit. It went quiet. He must have blown an engine.
One of those random blow-ups potentially there, yeah. And the caution's actually now out.
Funny thing is, though, no smoke. Why would there be no smoke? The engine just quit.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering as well. That's why initially I didn't think of a mechanical failure, because I didn't see any smoke either.
No. Huh.
Now, I'm checking to see if that brought the yellow flag out or if it was something else. It looks like something else may have brought out the yellow.
Yeah, because it didn't... It was pretty far behind on there. That's weird. I've never seen an engine blow up without a cloud of smoke coming out the back.
So I'm checking
that's why
through
we
the
always
field.
make the
At
joke,
the
like,
time that the caution came out, Seminara had hit the inside wall and he was rolling forward. I'm wondering, even though he was that far off the racetrack, I'm wondering if maybe a phantom debris caution may have come out because nobody else was around at that point in time when the pace car left pit lane. So I believe we are under a debris caution here on lap 23.
And
stuff like that happens.
The administrators could throw that flag up, right?
I don't think so, and I don't think they would unless they absolutely had to.
Yeah, they normally just go by in-game yellows.
Seth, when was the last time we had a phantom?
Phantom caution?
I feel like it's been forever.
A phantom caution was back. There was a rule that was put in place. If you ended up getting involved in a wreck, came down pit road, service, and retired in your pit stall while you were taking service, it would bring out the yellow. I think that might have been the last time that we ended up having a phantom caution come out, but we've obviously not seen drivers do that since the rule was implemented. Grant Wesley just got spun around on pit road.
Is that one of those you're coming in while I'm coming out incidents?
Could have very well been.
No.
He got stacked up behind Dennis McCarthy, who then got a bump from behind by Josh Metallic.
No, I feel like that made a merge thing, do you think? Or a black flag for pit exit?
I don't think he'll get a black flag. What will happen is he's going to lose a lot more spots than what he would have had, because he, of course, had to get back into the throttle and make his way back across the commitment line. He was on pit road in 8th. I don't know where he necessarily would have left, but it wouldn't have been where he's currently scored, which is 22nd.
Yeah, because the start-finish line is after the pit exit, so then it is 22nd.
Lengthy stay on pit road for the 82 of Craig Hagley as well. Like he's now down and away. But whatever the mechanical failure was for Bob Seminara, looks like we're not going to know because reason for retirement, at least on my end, is showing up as accident.
Is he still in the race server? We could grab him and talk to him.
I believe he is.
Yeah, he is.
Let's see if we can get a hold of him here real quick. See if we can get the full story.
Yeah, I've never seen an engine blow up with no smoke. That's really weird. But complete silence in the cockpit.
See if we can get a hold of him. Bob, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you. You got me?
Yeah, kind of an anomaly for us up here in the booth. We saw you lose speed, but we didn't see smoke out of the car. Can you tell us what happened there?
Yeah, it just blew up. I don't know. I was just cruising. I think Joe was behind me, and just let go.
Okay, so yeah, we were kind of wondering about that. We saw obviously the car slowed, but we our telemetry wasn't giving us the indication of what took you out of this race. So obviously a tough break for you here. Only a third of the way through this race here tonight. Hate to see you out this early, but we appreciate you giving us that diagnosis, though.
Yeah, that caught me by surprise. We were just cruising there, and there was nothing I could do. Joe just knocked me out of the way, so luckily nobody else got involved. But yeah, it was early in the race.
Well, tough break for you there, Bob. Sorry for your luck there, but still 3 more races to go here in the season, so best of luck in those.
All right, thanks. Have a good holiday.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Bob.
Bob's going to get credited for the 35th position here tonight. One of 2 drivers out of the race, Billy Elliser being the other. And I don't know, this kind of worries me in the sense that the last time I remember seeing a driver have a mechanical failure, we had a slew of mechanical problems. I think we had 3 or 4 different drivers end up having engine failures or gearbox failures during the course of the race. Hopefully we're not setting that trend here in this first race of the round of 8.
And every time we talk to Seminara, we have to mention Quentin and Shadows on Fire on Spotify. Not sponsored, but, support your local music.
You also heard Bob mention there, so we'll give the notification also. Next Thursday night, we will not be here. It'll be Thanksgiving. All these drivers, they will be with their family and friends as well. So we will resume the playoffs. Go to the elimination race of the round of 8 in the month of December. December 4th is when we'll be back at you here with the simulcast on Tarnation TV and the Flatout Racing Network, looking to take one step further to determining our final 4 for the championship.
Oh, I thought your Thanksgiving was this week. I'm wrong. When's Black Friday?
The day after Thanksgiving. So
that's next Friday.
Next Friday, yep.
Oh, I thought it was tomorrow. See,
I'll tell you what,
in Canada,
if this week was our Thanksgiving, it would have been tonight, and that's tremendous dedication by these 36 drivers to come out on Thanksgiving and race.
Yeah, yeah. Because our Thanksgiving in Canada, right, is like in October and whatnot, so I totally forget. But we still do the Black Friday thing, which is hilarious. Not anywhere near as cool as you guys. Hey, 10% off at the cat. No, because down there it's like 90% off.
Our Black Friday, though, is not a true Black Friday because the places, they all jack up the prices and then discount the jacked up prices so that you think you're getting a deal, but no, that's actually the price they wanted you to pay originally.
Might be a good day to buy some new RAM for your computer. I've seen some horror stories about the memory for computers is up, $600, $800 for 32 gigs or something. It's crazy. I don't know what happened to RAM prices, but in the last 2 months, they've increased like 400 to 500%. I don't know what's so special about RAM, but
I wonder if it's like a limited supply or something.
I don't know.
That's why they're upping the prices.
Saw little clips on Gamer Nexus. They put out pretty long videos on YouTube. I should actually click on one of them and see what the deal is. It's wild. 400 to 500% increase on RAM for some reason.
Wow.
So if you're building a new computer, don't buy RAM yet. Which is strange because all the other parts you think would be made this similar, right? Why is RAM
exactly.
so special? I don't get it. Motherboard is still silicon and resistors and all this other stuff. I don't know why RAM's so special, but just focused on Donnie Garrett right here trying to get a bottom line started.
We had Al in our chat ask what happened to the 38. Yeah, Rodney Selwyn's restarted back in the 30th position.
Oh, he was
More
leading
than
this
likely,
thing.
I think he probably would have gotten a black flag speeding on pit road, which sent him EOL to the rear of the field on this restart. So a driver that was up front inside of the top 5 when that caution came out and was leading the field down pit lane, coming out of pit road on the tail end of the lead lap. Brian Schilling now the new race leader with Metallic behind him. Bobby Farrell right behind them in the 92. Highest run of the non-playoff drivers with our pole sitter Randy Waugh right behind him. Haven't mentioned Grant Wesley's name all that much yet tonight. Won last week to advance his way into the round of 8, but he's, we'll say, hovering right now in the 10th position. And now makes a dive to the inside with Jeremy Jeffries trying to charge his way to the front. It was so interesting. I looked at this last week and I couldn't believe that the numbers were accurate, but they are. Grant Wesley coming into tonight has led 17% of the laps run this season, 127 laps. The next closest to him only has about half that much, Denny Carroll at 65. Wesley has been a lap-leading machine in season 66.
Wow. I love those stats because it's just domination sometimes. It's not easy to lead these things. You know, I'm not very good at leading a line here. Like, you know, I'll start it, but if you're just off a little bit, like, you know, I like to run the high line, but in the corners, I'm too high up in the corner, so people will bail on you. You got to be below that white line, and I like running right on top of it, so it doesn't last very long. But you know, here we've got the 4 of Schilling leading this thing. Decided to drive the AC Delco, the blue car, because you know the yellow one. We had that replay from him before, that thing spinning around on its side, though. Almost down the entire straightaway there, an accident back in race. I can't remember what race it was. It's a pretty cool replay.
I think it might have been 2 weeks ago, actually.
It was a while back, yeah, where he got up on the side and it was spinning. It was sliding on his door. The car never rolled. It did a half roll and just slid down on the door, and then.
One of the things I love, too, about super speedway racing, the unpredictability of it, you know, with those stats we gave for Grant Wesley, if we were talking about a series that runs speedways and everything, those kind of stats where you've got a 2-to-1 ratio of laps led over your competition, you're probably talking about Grant having 4, 5, 6 wins on the season. Nope, only 2 times he's been to victory lane with the number of laps he's led so far this season.
Who spun out there? Somebody spun out.
Jeremy Jeffries.
Was it Jeffries? Yeah, I'm looking for it. I heard it.
And it looks like it was in the... actually, it was coming out of turn 4. Wow, he took a big hit into the inside wall. Oh, bumper grab off the back of Richard Martin. Back end first into the Armco barrier. Spun through the grass back up the racetrack. We are still green because there was no oncoming traffic when he came back up on the racing surface. So it's been a tough last couple of weeks here for the defending champion, eliminated from the playoffs last week, 3rd in that 3-wide photo finish, and now involved in an incident that didn't even bring out the caution. That inside wall right there, that Armco barrier just before pit lane, that is a hard hit. Granted, it was with the back end of the race car, not where the engine is housed, but that's still going to be significant damage nonetheless.
And we're in the cockpit with him here. He was able to make his pit stop. He just went across the grass, and he'll take the penalty.
He's just now rolling off of pit road. Already a lap down, and I would assume within the next, maybe the next minute or so, he'll probably go a second lap down here, as he'll be trying to get up to speed. The field thundering its way around at near 200 miles per hour. That time there, it was bumper grab off of turn 4, but we saw an incident earlier on tonight as well, and we've seen it a couple of times this season with drivers kind of accordioning up off of turn 4. That's not necessarily been a trouble spot in seasons past. And I remember last week when we had the incident on the final lap between Ulysses Sandoval and Chuck McClure coming out of turn 4, Ulysses commenting on the fact that there seems to be very little grip for the inside line coming off of turn 4. The car wants to slide up a little bit. That makes me wonder if that's why we see these stack-ups, cars kind of losing grip, sliding up, scrubbing off speed, the drivers behind them getting the run with the draft, and it causes that accordion effect.
Yeah, that's a tough corner. You really got to concentrate. I'm also curious if Michael has his microphone on, muted again. Might be a possibility. It's been awfully quiet up there.
Well, a driver that really benefited from that first caution, we mentioned losing the draft, Denny Carroll. He had fallen by choice to the rear of the field on the opening lap, but did not stay in touch with the lead pack. Now it looks like he's decided this is the moment to move forward. He's heading up that inside line with Grant Wesley and Donnie Garrett, currently side by side with Bernie Mobbs for the 6th position. First win of his career here in the Talladega Challenge Series earlier on this season. His first appearance into the playoffs, his first appearance into the round of 8, and he would love to add to those career statistics with his first appearance in the Championship 4 here tonight with a victory.
Isn't that right, Michael? No response.
No response.
I think he might be scrambling right now, trying to figure out what's wrong with his microphone, I think.
You look at a couple of drivers up here that one just barely made it into the playoffs by the skin of his teeth last week. The other one, by virtue of a couple of post-race EOLs, had enough points to be able to get up above the cut line. Talking about Schilling the leader and John Godfrey in 5th, making the most of that situation right now inside of the top 5. Mentioned they both come into this race 18 points below the points leader, Grant Wesley. And 18 points doesn't sound like much, but let me tell you, in super speedway racing, that's a massive gap. Why? Because almost inevitably, we'll end up seeing the drivers that are battling each other in the playoffs all up in the same area of the field, whether it's up at the front, middle of the pack, rear of the field. They always seem to find each other, and that makes it so difficult to make up ground in points.
I've noticed too, most of the season actually, the racing's phenomenal. Even with a full field, they must have really cranked down on the drivers, especially if you're following too close and the bump draft starts, it kind of dominoes through the whole field and just causes these accidents. So a little bit more space between the cars really does lead to some awesome racing.
And with that good, clean racing, it leads to, as we've seen down the home stretch of the regular season and into the beginning stages of the playoffs, a lot more emphasis on green flag pit stops. It was interesting. I went out tonight, got on the racetrack, just have some fun, do some pack racing with some drivers. I don't think I've seen as many coming to pit road notifications as I saw tonight. So many drivers practicing green flag pit stops. They know that it's trended more towards pit road playing a part into this race, more so maybe than what takes place up above that yellow line. And they are making absolutely certain that they're crossed, their I's are dotted here, and make sure that they are going to execute perfectly on pit road because, as mentioned, for 8 of them, their championship hopes depend on it.
And when you're talking about a 66 lap race, and if you're only getting 2 or 3 cautions, that's only 6, 9, 10 laps under yellow. High chance you're pit at least a couple times with green flag conditions. We must be creeping up on a pit stop right now, actually, I would think, right? Within the next 10 laps or so?
Yeah, we've got to be getting close here. I'm actually right now double checking back when we ended up having that caution come out and drivers hit pit road. It looks like they came to pit lane on lap 24, went that green on lap 25's completion. So we are roughly
Within
about
5, yeah.
3 laps away, I would say, from when these drivers are going to have to start thinking about coming to pit lane. Which won't be easy because we're stacked up double file all the way back through majority of this field. Josh Metallic now out in front. Had a number of our playoff contenders get up there and lead at least one lap. Valuable bonus point. It could be a difference maker if we end up having tiebreaker situations at the close of the elimination race here in the round of 8.
Was there not a tie for... There's a tie in the points in a couple of spots, actually. That's how close this is right now still. Actually, I think
Currently
I had
a
it on...
three-way tie for 4th and a 2-way tie for 7th. And oh yeah, by the way, 4th place is the cut line.
Oh, wow, yeah, it would be. Oh, did I hear someone going down? Yeah.
Yep. Bob Dixon, Jeffrey Elliott.
I was going to say, I can't see who it is, but it's probably Bob Dixon.
Yep, you'd be correct.
He will be 3 laps early every time.
That's our indicator right there that we are on the eve of pit stops. And this is going to be the money stop here, too. We're within the window to make it the rest of the way from here. I think. Right. Hold on, let me double check with my math. Ooh, I don't know. Depending on when they pit it might actually be close.
Yeah, no
they
takers
might
yet.
find themselves 1 or 2 laps short. If they pit when I think they're going to, oh boy.
Yeah, because you'd have to make it to lap 47.
Yeah.
To be able to go to the end without having to pit for gas.
And I don't think we're getting there. I'm seeing a ton of radios lighting up right now.
Yeah. So we're going to be like 5 laps to go, and guys are going to have to start figuring out how they're going to get to the end of this race without running out of gas.
Entire front of the field's coming in. The 39, the 4, the 24, they've all indicated they're pitting. This is going to be a massive pack of cars. I saw about a dozen hands out the window down the back straightaway.
Oh, wow, yep. There they are.
Ooh, big lockup for Bobby Farrell. He's out into the grass. He's coming back across pit road. I think everyone's going to avoid him. I don't know if anybody had a pit stall back where he was at. Doesn't look like it. Had about 15 to 20 drivers on pit road right there, including drivers that were up inside of the, I think our entire top 5 came to pit road there. Second pack will be awaiting this time by, currently led by Bernie Mobbs in the 31.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. The 31 of Bernie Mobbs got that lap led, so we keep on talking about bonus points. The leaders keep on changing.
There's a number of playoff contenders in the second group, too,
There's a big group
including
coming
Sullins,
here.
McClure, and Grant Wesley. Oh, Sullins out into the grass as he locked him up, but he's going to keep it pointed straight as he comes back onto the pit lane racing surface, so he might be okay, provided he got that thing woed down. He was on the left side of the commitment cone.
Somebody should let John Godfrey know that he made pit road wider. Apparently he didn't make it wide enough. We need a runoff lane, John. That'll be version 5.
Well, there's the old adage, if they pave it, they will use it. So it doesn't matter how wide you make pit road, they will still test its boundaries.
Yeah, they're right on the edge no matter what.
You could pave the entire infield grass here through the tri-oval, and they would find some way to be back up above the yellow line in the tri-oval.
Yeah, you could just go select all grass and then press delete. Merging. Yep, so we have a couple of packs here now. Successful green flag sequence. That, of course, will break the pack up a little bit. Maybe not as much as we thought. Everybody's stuck together pretty good. There really is no stragglers out there.
Yeah, we had
Everybody's
a
got
pack of
buddies.
roughly about 28, 29 drivers when that green flag pit stop began. We may lose a few, but right now it looks like we may have about 20 or so of those originals up in this lead group, with a chance of maybe adding more if that second pack can get themselves organized up.
And there's lots of cars back there too. So I mean, once this second pack gets tightened up, they're going to start chasing those guys down. So I'm thinking we might see everybody back together, if maybe in about 10 laps, if they can tighten it up, because that main pack is staying single file.
Gonna have to see, and I was gonna mention it, up to this point, didn't look like any of our 8 playoff contenders had run into any issues of staying up in this lead. Pack just came through on the indicator, 12 laps out in front in the early going. Rodney Sellens, black flag, speeding on pit road. We saw him out into the infield grass. He's going to have to come to pit lane. And how this hurts the 38 more, all 8 of our championship contenders were up in this lead group. We're up inside of the top 20. Sullins is not only going to lose valuable positions, but valuable points here. He is going to absolutely need a caution between now and the end of the race to get back into the hunt, not go into next week, I should say in 2 weeks' time's elimination race in a must-win position.
And he is not messing with another speeding penalty. He was doing about 52 to 53 through that whole deal there. So it should be clear.
Tough break for him, because you go back to the first race of the playoffs, won that race, automatic luck here into the round of 8. So far here tonight, the speeding police have not been kind to him. He got a black flag that lost him a ton of track position under one of our cautions, and now a black flag here under green flag results. And that's got to make the other remaining 7 playoff drivers nervous, because we know they can't make it on fuel. They're about 2 to 3 laps short, so there's at least one more pit stop still upcoming.
And Despirito's got the lead. And that main pack's staying in line, and those other packs, everybody's staying in line right now. I'm curious, though, if there's enough time for these guys to get in there and mix it up. There's just enough of a gap between these two packs here that maybe they can't catch them.
Looking at the lap times real quickly here, the lead group, they're running between 48.2s to 48.2.5s. The second group, they're turning 47.9s. They actually are producing a little bit more speed than the group up ahead of them.
Okay.
That time by, they ran about 2 to 3 tenths quicker than the pack ahead of them. All they need is 1.5 seconds between the back bumper of Ulysses Sandoval and the front bumper of Keith Bynum, and they will be in what we call the slipstream. It will tow this group right up to that lead pack. I think they've still got a shot.
Mm-hmm. And they're holding 200, so they're not losing any speed. They're just sort of stuck.
You see Bobby Farrell kind of fading back there as well, and that will help that second pack as he will kind of extend that safety rope a little bit for that second group. Now, what I would be a little bit concerned about here is the 2 stragglers behind that group of 4, Brian Rawson in the 6 and Des McCarthy 024. They're not right up there with Douglas Hewlick. So once those 4 get the slipstream, they're going to pull away from that duo. I'm not certain if those 2 cars will be able to get up here in the lead pack or not.
Really focused on that rear pack there. Cy Jones, Glenn Harris, Doug Willie, Crivello, Breedlove. Everybody working together.
Mentioned about Despirito, the race leader. Interesting point of note. It looks like 6 of our 8 playoff contenders have taken a turn out in front here and at least garnered themselves that valuable bonus point. John Godfrey, Denny Carroll right now, the 2 that have not led. Godfrey currently holding down the 4th position, Denny Carroll in the 8th spot, so they're at least still up here at the front, but they don't have that little added security, that extra bonus point right now, as the other 6 do.
And nobody out here is going to be able to make it to the end, so that we will have to see another pit sequence. And that'll be interesting.
And the question is, obviously, with the timing of the pit stop, it's hard to know exactly where these drivers are going to be at. Are they on splash or are they on half a can? Because if they are on half a can, we could see drivers coming to pit road as soon as 5 laps to go. That'd be the window to get them the rest of the way. But if we're currently sitting on splash, then we'd probably be waiting until 2 or 3 laps to go when you absolutely have to pit. Just in the thought process, if we get to that point of no return, maybe you can save enough fuel under pacing to make it back around to the checkered flag. I think for Joe DeSpirito out in front leading this thing, he's absolutely going to be on a half can. So I think we're going to see him on pit road around 5 laps to go. The question is, if everybody else's numbers are similar, does he bring everybody to pit lane with him as well?
You gotta hope so, because if he gets hung out to dry, you're done.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, it seems like Michael Norma's gone MIA here, so...
I'm a little bit sick, but I just wanted to bring up, because I know that he was AFK and I've been trying to contact him forever. But anyway, so looking at this race, you're talking about the fuel mileage. If they can at least go to 2 to go, if they can stretch it to 2 to go, that would be okay, I would assume, for a splash, but it's like, it's going to be like a lap and a half for splash if they do that. A half a can would get you at least definitely 5 laps, but at the same time, you would need a caution to save you, and I don't think, I mean, the way they're running right now, I don't expect them to get a caution because they're all single file all the way.
So is there a conceivable way, if you're currently on a splash, which I don't think the 24 is, but if anybody like be at the tail end of this pack is on a splash, if you get a caution with 3 laps to go, is there a way with an indicator saying splash to save enough fuel for 3 pacing laps, or is there a chance you could run out on the last lap of pacing?
For 3 laps, no. No, there's no way, even with a splash, you can't hold it for 3 laps. There's no way. I mean, I've tried that one time, and that didn't work out well for me at all, and that was one of the races where I was in the top 10, and it just screwed me out, and that was a while back, but it still was CTS physics that even though you're not like running full song, even under caution with 3 laps, you're still not going to make it with the splash.
Looks like I was wrong in the assumption there. Looks like Brian Rawson and Dennis McCarthy, they actually did reel in this lead group. So credit to them. That's going to have us with 22 lead lap cars in this pack. I also noticed as we approach 10 laps to go, where you'd have to take on a can of fuel to make it to the end, we did have some drivers dive onto pit lane, including Robert Spring and Bobby Farrell. They've fallen a lap down, but maybe just kind of a Hail Mary strategy here. In case a caution comes out, you're able to take the wave around or maybe get back onto the tail end of the lead lap, gain track position with a timely caution.
I mean, that'd be the best way to make up any spots, and they're thinking in that term. But I mean, like I said, the only way I see a caution coming out at this point, Seth, in all honesty, for them to even save anything at all, is if they get the whole checkup thing. You know, with everyone running the same line, someone kind of checks up a little bit more, pushes, and bumper grab and whatnot. But with the way they're running right now, you gotta remember, I'm like 24 seconds behind you guys because I'm watching the broadcast on my phone. And there's Bob Dixon. I just saw Bob Dixon, and that's like 20 seconds back. But anyway, I mean, it's just, I don't foresee them having anything. They're gonna run this all the way out. I imagine the only time they might get a little bit feisty is like with 2 to go or 1 to go. But then you said that Joe would have to take you're thinking about a half a can?
I would have to think so. He's been out in front for this run, and I had them projected 3 laps short. So he's definitely gonna, I would think, fall into the half can category.
All the way back to who?
Right now back to Dennis McCarthy in 22nd.
These guys have stayed out, right? Seriously?
Yes.
Oh, goodness gracious me. If that's the case at this point, then it's going to be really hectic. These guys are going to try to come in for whatever they can get at the end. It's probably going to be... You're going to have some takers to game on splash if they can make it, but I don't see them doing that. They would, like you said, 3 to 4 laps, and they're not getting any relief with a caution. They're going to have to probably get a half a can.
You have to think, too, if anybody falls into the category of trying the splash strategy, probably none of our 8 playoff contenders, because I don't know if you necessarily want to run the risk there. yeah, maybe it would work out and you can win. But on the downside, that's a lot of positions, a lot of spots you could lose if you run out of fuel and you don't want to go into next week, or I should say the next race in 2 weeks' time, in a must-win situation, which right now, that is looking like the case for Rodney Sullins. He's the first car 1 lap down. He needs a caution to get back on the lead lap. Right now, scoring has him in the 27th position. The tough thing for him as well is after he served the pass-through penalty, he did not merge with the lead pack. He is currently running, I believe, by himself. Oh no, he did catch up with the lead pack. He's running right behind Chuck
based on what
McClure.
I was looking at on the screen, it looks like he's there with them. So theoretically, if these guys do that, he get his lap back. But the question is he going to have enough time to come all the way around and merge with them when they come off the pit road? Because you get like, what is it, like maybe 3 to 5 seconds on pit road, or maybe 10 seconds on pit road, compared to a whole 15-second pit stop for a 4-tire stop. So, and then you got all that long path to go down at 55 miles an hour on pit road and then merge in turn 1. I don't think Rodney would be able to go around and catch the pack, but from what you're saying, though, with everyone's downsides, you had, like you're saying, Rodney and all that, but I do want to point out that I've noticed while I've been watching that Godfrey's sitting there in 4th, and you remember, this right here would technically be a big saving grace based on, people getting eliminated last race, right? And Godfrey was right there on that mark about getting close to having that happen to him. He's up here in the top 10. And think about what this would do to all these drivers if they can't make it. Who would benefit off of this?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? And yeah, in the case of Godfrey, I mean, when we went off the air last week, he was one of the 4 drivers eliminated, but post-race EOLs put him back above the cut line. Brian Schilling, who was the cut line driver, also up here inside of the top 5. Just to go back to a point you made there about Rodney Sullins, though, too, even if these drivers pit, he's not going to be able to stay on the lead lap because he pit when they all did. When he came down pit road to serve the speeding penalty, he didn't take service, so he's in the same boat they are.
The grass and and then you got a black flag, had to come back in.
Yeah, so even them pitting wouldn't save him.
Yeah, when you guys were watching him, he didn't stop or anything. He just went right through. Yeah, I am sorry. I'm like I said, I'm sick. I am trying my best. Well, we're on the bottom of the racetrack. They're coming off of 4, from what I'm looking at on my end. I'm on 61, about to hit 62.
Yeah, they've not indicated coming to pit road here yet. I mean, we're now at 4.5 to go.
Have you guys noticed this in the last couple races, that by the time they get to about 2 laps to go, and even the final lap, that's when they're starting to get really frisky and really aggressive? And if that's the case, they're all going to be, I'm thinking that most of these guys are going to be pitting very soon. And if that's the case, then imagine how aggressive they are going to be trying to come in and trying to get out before the other ones. Think about how, contact would probably end up happening if they get too aggressive trying to beat the other one out based on them all being bunched up together in this top 20 group.
That's what worries me. With having this pit stop this late in the race, more than likely just a splash and go now at this point in time, trying to get that every little bit extra that you can, you could put yourself in a bad situation. I think, let me double check. I saw some radios lighting up. Yep, 24 is coming in. Same for the 4, same for the 39. So our leaders are pitting. We're in the point of no return as well. If a mistake is made, there's no coming back from it.
Absolutely. And right now, they're all hands on deck on this one.
Here they come.
Yep.
Remember, I'm on the backstretch going into 3. Please don't keep me in suspense.
We had about 5 of our playoff drivers come down, about a group of 10 to 15. Looks like they all made it on pit road safely, no contact. Now the question is, did they get it woed down to the 55-mile-per-hour pit speed?
Richard Martin, your current leader.
Looks like Grant Wesley stayed out from what I could tell off of that.
And I don't know if he backed off to save fuel or if that's just the result of the field getting split up with those leaders coming in, but he's giving some distance to the 43 up ahead of him. Oh, someone just got turned into the inside wall. That was Keith Bynum. Back up the track into Brian Rawson, Robert Spring, and Robert Breedlove. The caution is out. These drivers are going to race back to the race-ending yellow. Now it's going to be a question of, do we have the fuel to make it? DMAR is going to win the battle back to the line over Wesley and Bombard.
Whoa.
Wow, we're asking 2 laps right now under caution for these drivers to be able to make it to the checkers.
Whoa.
Is it in the tank?
Yeah,
Hey,
because
if
these guys
anybody
didn't
can
make
do
it,
it,
right?
if anybody could do it, we've seen Grant do it.
Oh my.
So who up here did not pit?
Everybody in this
the
group.
Yeah,
whole-
everybody in this top group didn't pit.
Yeah.
They were supposed to. It says that like what the top 20 something
It looks
needed
like
to pit.
12 or 15 of them, yeah. I'm looking at the pit stop numbers right now. Most of them got 3. A couple of them have 4, but they're still needing to come down.
So here's the thing. Going into 3, when that wreck occurred, Richard Martin, radio lit up. He was coming to pit
He's
road.
coming,
He
yeah.
decided to stay out, so he's got to be super close.
You know
Okay,
what? I'll
now
leave it
I wanna-
live. We're going to see what happens here.
I want to bring back to a point that you mentioned, Seth, real quick, about Grant staying off of DMAR a little bit. Remember whenever we would race and whatnot, that you could play with a throttle, half throttle it, and even clutch and roll up to it, but I don't know if there was enough laps to save Grant any fuel.
Well, Grant won last week. It wasn't a must-win situation for him, but last week he garnered some bonus points that carried him into this next round. Now, looking to stay out, maybe snipe the victory from Richard Martin if Martin can't make it the rest of the way. This is going to be a painstaking pace lap for the former champion, the last driver to win a championship here on Thursday nights without winning a single race. White flag is in the air, and you may hear very little motor noise out of the STP Chevrolet.
Right. I was going to go look for that, but I'm not going to look for the replay. We got to let this finish first.
So, what do you think about the thought I said, Seth? Do you think Grant saved enough by backing off and clutching and rolling up to the back of DMAR a little bit during that whole run, that little stint that he was doing before Joe came in? Do you think he's got enough?
I don't know if he's got enough. I do think he's got more than Martin. So if Martin can't make it, depending on where he runs out, I think Grant could go a little bit further.
Real quick, were the lap times starting to fall off before they came to pit? Like, did you
It
notice
didn't
that they
really
were
look
backing
like
off?
it, no. Lap time stayed about the same, which made me think that there wasn't going to be anybody that was going to try and risk it with staying out. Everybody seemed pretty committed. They were going to make that final pit stop within 2 to 3 laps to go. And consider this fact as well. Right now, it looks like of our playoff contenders, Wesley and McClure, who's right now in 6th, are the only ones that stayed out and are trying to make it on fuel. Joe DeSpirito, John Godfrey, Josh Metallic, Brian Schilling, Denny Carroll, we saw them all on pit road. So this would be a massive point shift for the 88 and the 17 going into next week if they're able to hold down the spots they currently are in. 2nd for Grant, 6th for Chuck.
Well, like I said, I'm 20 seconds back. How's Martin looking right now?
So far, so good.
Yeah, he's still there in line. He hasn't pulled out yet.
This is
I mean, if he
reminding me
pulls
of a
off the
fuel
side-
strategy race we had last season, but they were at full song coming out of turn 4. Now they're at 70 miles per hour pacing through the tri-oval. It's a question of will somebody's last drop evaporate in the tank here?
Like somebody went down the pit road. I couldn't see who it was. My camera was
I
too
think Martin's
close.
good to go. Halfway
I
through
want
the
you to-
tri-oval.
I want
What
you
a
to think-
strategy call.
What do you think about
Yikes.
this? A non-playoff driver winning.
There you go.
this race, so I
Yeah,
don't think it
absolutely. Shuffles up the points, going to make it more of an emphasis on points gained next time in the elimination race. Richard Martin picking up the victory here tonight on fuel strategy. Next question is he going to have enough fuel for burnouts?
Probably not.
I'm curious on how much fuel the whole top end left.
And what kind of discipline did there have to be mentally there after you had already committed? You'd put out the indicator in the chat that you were coming to pit road that next time by. The caution comes out and you call the audible. You stay out.
You got to
and
do
hope
it.
you got enough fuel under pace to get back around to the checkers.
And also, I want to look at the fact that DMAR, last the last
There he
season and
goes, he's
whatnot,
out.
he didn't show up too much to race with us and whatnot.
He's out of gas.
And now he's back, and look at this, a win. That really does a lot, and this is a really popular win in my opinion, Seth.
This is going to be an emotional win, I think, as well, with him last night after a podium finish in the Aero 88 series, and he said that we were at the 6-month mark of his wife passing away. Big win for him here tonight, Talladega Super Speedway, and gosh, I can't remember the last time that DMAR went to Victory Lane on Thursday nights. This is going to snap a very lengthy winless streak for him.
All right, well, I'm going to hop out since this is your area now with the interviews and whatnot. I just thought I'd try to come in and help what I could. So
Appreciate you hopping in, Jess. Appreciate that a lot.
Not a problem.
Thanks, Jess.
Great.
By the way, fire Michael.
Well, he already has been fired. I printed up the pink slip already.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Unbelievable finish here tonight. We're going to be talking with DMAR down in Victory Lane. Grant Wesley's going to bring it home in second. He came in the points leader. I think it's too soon to say that he's safe to lock into the Final Four on points going into next week. We'll have to see how everything shakes up, but this is certainly a step in the right direction. Granted, he's not locked into the Final Four with a victory, but maybe the next best thing here with the run-up finish, and Terry Bombard going to bring it home on the podium in the third position. We'll be talking with those three top finishers in just a moment. Bernie Mobbs is going to finish fourth. Craig Hagley in fifth. Chuck McClure will be the second highest playoff driver to finish. He'll be sixth with Greg Palmer seventh. Eighth for Ulysses Sandoval. Ninth, Pat McCarskey. And Doug Hewlick will complete the top 10. Dennis McCarthy brought it home in 11th. 12th for Brian Ross. And 13th, Jeff Crivello. Those were the drivers that made it on fuel to the checkered flag. Joe DeSpirito, the first of those that came off of pit road, of those that had to pit in the final 3 laps, gets 14th. Donnie Garrett, 15th. 16th for John Godfrey. Denny Carroll in 17th. Then Randy Waugh, Josh Metallic, Brian Schilling, your top 20. 22 drivers finished on the lead lap, with Brian Lovell and Keith Bynum being the last of those. Mark Paglia finished first car 1 lap down in 23rd. Rodney Sullins, 2 speeding penalties here tonight, lost him a ton of track position. He'll finish 24th. Cy Jones was 25th, with Doug Woolley 26th. Glenn Harris, Mike Mangialardi, and Bobby Farrell, Robert Spring will be the completion of the top 30. Bob Dixon, 31st. Jeremy Jeffries, 2 laps down in 32nd, was the last driver running. 4 drivers did not reach the conclusion. Robert Breedlove, Jeffrey Elliott, Bob Seminara, and Billy Elliser. Of course, Breedlove caught up in that race-ending yellow that involved himself, Robert Spring, and Keith Bynum on the back straightaway. I believe Bynum bounced off the inside wall. I think that's the second. Is that back-to-back weeks we've seen a driver bounce off the inside wall going into 3? That part of the track doesn't get a whole lot of action, and back-to-back weeks it gets it here as he came back up the track, collected some others, and ended this race under caution.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I don't know what happened. Like, you ever had something drop behind your computer? Like, you know where your tower is, and it, like, I don't know how to say this. Like, it messed up one of my wires. I have no idea how I didn't log out, but how I didn't like just crash. But I have been here this entire time, and I swear to God, I thought you guys have been hearing me.
Nope, we couldn't hear you at all. Luckily, Jess was able to hop in here and fill in for you.
I appreciate that. It was actually a great race.
It was,
of course,
unbelievable race.
I kept on chirping you for not talking.
Yeah, it's good.
That's okay.
I hate technical difficulties on my end.
That's okay. Blaine called me a bad guy on Tuesday night. I heard you, Blaine. I know you said it.
Yep. I love it. Let's see if he's watching. Yeah, it was Tuesday, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, Tuesday night. Let's see if we can dial up our podium finishers here. See if we can get a hold of Terry Bombard after a wild one. This was a playoff race, folks, and it came down literally to the last drop of fuel. Let's see if we can get a hold of the driver of the 10. Hey, Terry, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Sure do, guys.
Wow. That's all I can really say about this race. Like, Did not see this kind of a finish coming. We knew you guys were going to be close on fuel, but the timing of that yellow, it kind of split the strategies. Most of you that stayed out that extra lap felt you had enough to get to the end, but just how close was it? Where were you guys sitting if this thing had gone green to the end? Was there any conceivable way to save enough fuel, or did that caution save you guys to be able to have enough?
Well, I'll tell you, I was going to do whatever Grant did, because I was running out halfway down the backstretch, and he said that he was running out going into 3, but I was going to probably do whatever he did because I'm not in the points or nothing. Yeah, I was running out halfway down, and if the yellow didn't come out, I didn't know. It was crazy. There was like 5 of us that did all pit at the same time, and I don't know, DMAR probably definitely would not have made it, but he did a great job staying out there, and he said he was pitting just before the yellow came out. He got lucky and stayed out, so good job, DMAR. Good job, everybody.
Yeah, we saw that indicator there in the chat of the 43 saying he was going to come to pit road, but made that last-minute decision to stay out. Now, obviously, in these type of races, we were crunching the calculators. We were able to figure out the situation that you guys were going to be really, really close on fuel. Is there anything that, as a driver, you're able to do with this car, track, setup combination to save fuel, and if so, how much during the course of a run? Because we kind of wonder how far a driver might be able to extend the initial fuel window that we're given in terms of the number.
Well, if you're in a line, it's kind of tough. You just try to go like 3/4 throttle and hope, try to because you're not supposed to like slow the line down to save fuel, so that causes accidents. So I know Grant was probably, he was way off of Denny, and I knew he was saving big time. But I couldn't save that much with the car behind me, so I was giving Grant a little room. But you can clutch and run half throttle, 3/4 throttle when you can. And I got it down to halfway down the backstretch, but they're much better at it than I am. So you'd have to ask them. But yeah, if you're in a little pack, you can save a lot more probably because you don't have to go as fast. So that's my thought on it.
We've obviously seen here the home stretch of the regular season, here into the playoffs, a lot more emphasis on pit road, if not the same amount of emphasis as what takes place up on the racing surface. And here tonight, even more so with the possibility of that final pit stop taking place in the final 5 laps. Is that maybe distracting for a driver, one extra thing to have to think about, or do you enjoy that kind of a challenge?
It's a pain in the neck sometimes, to be honest with you. Should I pit? Shouldn't I pit? When do I pit? Do I pit now? Do I not pit now? It's something to think about. Yeah, it's on my mind a lot. So, but it depends on who I'm around most of the time too, because you want to pit with people who you trust, and not trust.
Well, Terry, a great run for you here tonight, bringing it home on the podium. Your second top 5 on the season as well. And still got 3 more races as well to try and see if he can find victory lane before the close of the season. But a great job of saving the fuel there under those final pacing laps to bring it home solidly in 3rd. Before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Thank you so much. Appreciate RTG. Great job to do around here. It's a great place to race. Love it. Been here my whole career. Started here. Love it. Thank you to Flatout Racing Network. Great job you guys do every week, constantly on the job. So you guys do a great job. Tarnation TV coming aboard too. Appreciate them. I'd like to thank my boy, Mitch Bombard. Does all my paints for me and does a great job on them. And as usual, I got to say something pretty good about my buddy Jeef Crivello. He showed up tonight, and I still got a top 3 out of it. So maybe my luck is starting to change when he shows up. So good job.
Well, Terry, congratulations on a great run here tonight. Playing the fuel strategy game perfectly, getting that timed caution to bring it home 3rd place. Best of luck the remainder of this season, and have a happy holidays and Thanksgiving coming up next week.
Thank you. You guys too. Have a good one.
Let's see if we can now get a hold of 2nd place finisher here tonight. The highest finisher of the playoff drivers coming into this evening. Style up Grant Wesley. Hey, Grant, the guys up here in the broadcast booth. Got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, I will tell you what, it was a nail-biter here tonight. I mentioned midway through the broadcast, it kind of seems like the first race of the round of the playoffs seems to be the more tense one than the second race, the elimination race, because at least at that point, you drivers know where you stand, what your scenarios are. It's kind of up in the air in these first races, and this one came down to the almighty fuel strategy. We just talked moments ago with Terry. He said you told him you were going to more than likely run out going into 3. Was the gamble going to be worth it? Were you full committed to seeing if you'd have enough momentum to come around and be able to maybe finish this race on fumes, or were your hands tied? Were you going to have to pit if that caution didn't come out?
Oh, I was definitely going to go all the way. Even if I ran out going into 3 or coming off 4, I was going to be, light years ahead of those guys that pitted. So, yeah, we were going for it. Coming up on that final pit stop, I was kind of looking at the number of laps left, and I seen this as a possibility. I wasn't thinking about a caution coming out the way it did, but, I was thinking a possibility of running green to the end, and so as soon as we came off pit road, I was able to, first I had to stretch. I actually ran out of fuel coming off for pit road. And after I stretched that and came out in front of those guys, I was able to lead my lap there. And I knew I was 1 lap closer than most of the rest of the field there. So yeah, I immediately just, I pedaled the crap out of this thing that entire run. My right leg is actually really tired. I wasn't clutching. I listened to Bumby's interview there. I agree with him completely. You can't clutch on a super speedway. You'll check it up too much and cause a wreck. But what you can do is kind of run 3/4 throttle, or you can kind of just pedal it just anytime you get a run. And man, I was pedaling that thing like crazy, and went from being a lap and a half short to being, a little less than half a lap. So, man, so close. My teammate Demar, man, I'm glad he got that win. It's been a long time for him, so I'm happy to see that.
Obviously, 1 spot shy of advancing into the Final Four via a wimp. You came into tonight with the points lead. You bring it home solidly in 2nd place. You're going to be leading the points going into next week, but maybe more importantly, a 28-point cushion between you and that 4th in the standings cut line. What does this do now? Well, actually, I should say in 2 weeks' time. What does this do for the mentality going into that elimination race now? How much freedom does that give you to be aggressive in the elimination race?
Oh, we're still going to be aggressive. 1 incident, and you can be out of it. 28 points doesn't cover the whole field. We get 40 cars here, and if you get wrecked out on lap 1, that'll put you out. So we're going to stay on offense. We're going to try to keep this 88 up front. We're going to go after leading a lap, maybe leading the most laps, try to get the bonus points we can. And most importantly, keep it out of trouble. We'll be calculated in our moves, but we're going to try to keep it up front.
Well, Grant, a great run for you here tonight, bringing home some pretty valuable points and building that cushion back to the 4th in the standings cut line. Obviously, an off week coming up here, but an opportunity in 2 weeks' time to lock yourself into the Final Four, compete for your 4th championship here on Thursday nights. Congratulations on a great run here tonight. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
I'll start this out with thoughts and prayers with Bob Dixon and Pat McCarsky. I'd like to thank the owners, Sean Prime and the late David Cannon, the admins here, Josh, Rodney, and Tim, FRN, Tarnation TV. Thanks to you guys. I'd like to thank my teammates with XFM. Congratulations to Demar on the win. Thanks to my friends and family for watching, and my girlfriend Brittany.
That's Grant Wesley, brings it home 2nd place here tonight. He will lead the playoff standings going into our next race, the elimination race here in the round of 8, looking to advance to the Final Four. Congratulations on a great run. Enjoy your Thanksgiving next week. A little bit of an off week before we go back to work in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks.
Grant Wesley going to bring it home solidly on the podium. As mentioned, 28 points between him and the 4th in standings cut line. We'll document, credit to Jeremy Jeffries, Josh Metallic, all the admins here. They always make sure that we have the point standings to bring to you folks before we go off the air, so we'll be talking about that here in a moment. But let's go down to Victory Lane, cut into the celebration going on right now for the former champion, Richard Martin. Hey, Richard, it's the guys up here in the FRM booth. You got a copy?
I do, sir.
I will tell you, a lot of times in super speedway races, we go back and we look at what we kind of would dub the call of the race. How about tonight, the non-call of the race? Your radio lit up going into 3. You were getting ready to come to pit road. The caution comes out. You call the audible to stay out. Had enough fuel to make it to the end. But at that point in time, did you have the confidence there was enough fuel in the tank to get around those final 2 laps to take the checkers?
No, not by any stretch of the imagination. I was clutching and clutching like you wouldn't believe. Just clutching forever. And finally worked out for me, and I got one. But that fuel pressure was very low when I came over the line, I can tell you that.
We heard with Grant earlier, he kind of looked at the fuel after the pit stop prior to this race-ending caution and thought it was probably going to be this kind of a scenario. Were you in the same boat? Did you see that scenario there and think, maybe if I can go just that extra lap, maybe a scenario works out where I'm going to have maybe a timely caution to be able to make it the rest of the way? And how soon did the fuel saving begin to try and get into that window?
Fuel saving began at least 10 or 12 laps before that, just clutching like crazy. I think the 41 was behind me, and to my luck, I'm sure he was doing the same thing, because I would clutch and he was way back, and then he'd be on my back, then he'd be a couple lengths back. So I'm sure he was trying to get to the end too. So that worked out for me as well.
I mentioned about the fact you were a former champion of the series. I'm trying to remember back. I know it's been quite a winless streak for you here on Thursday nights. Finally snapped here this evening. How good does it feel to kind of get the monkey off the back, finally put this 43 back in victory lane, and do it in such dramatic fashion? I mean, this doesn't even have to be a playoff race for the excitement we saw in the final stages.
For me, it's always dramatic. When I won, I think it was season 60. It was, it came down to 1 point. You don't get much more dramatic than that. And tonight is dramatic as well. So I guess that's the way that I have to do it.
Well, Richard, congratulations on a job well done. That patented Richard Petty throwback. We get to see it parked in victory lane here tonight after an incredible finish. Fuel strategy call here in the closing stages of this third playoff race. Well, let's get back to your celebrating here in a moment, but first we're going to hand the microphone over to you for some Victory Lane thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Well, thank you to Flatout Racing Network, and I don't know how many of you guys were up in the booth, but was it Blaine and you and Michael?
Yeah, we had Jess come in for a fill-in as well. Michael had some technical difficulties.
Oh, well, thank you guys for...
something fell behind and jumbled up some wires and almost short-circuited a few things.
Well, thank you guys for broadcasting. I sure appreciate it. I want to dedicate this race to, first of all, well, not first, but to Bones, David Cannon, who taught me a lot about racing, and he taught me a lot about computer issues whenever I'd have a problem or switch to a new computer, and if he didn't know it, he'd find somebody that would help me. So appreciate all the help that he did. It was a great loss. And most importantly, I lost my sweet wife Marjorie about 6 months ago now, and it'll be 6 months in a few days. So just trying to get through the holidays and whatever, but sad loss. So I want to dedicate this to my wife.
Yeah, we documented that as well. I think that just makes this win all the more popular. Congratulations on finding victory lane once again here tonight, snapping that long winless streak, Demar, and we look forward to seeing you go back at it in a couple weeks' time when we resume the season. Maybe not the last time we're talking in victory lane here in season 66.
Well, I certainly hope not, but I hope I can win in a better fashion with some fuel in the tank. Thank you, guys.
Hey, a win is still a win. Richard Martin, your victor here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
As you alluded to, Michael, as well, a non-playoff driver going to victory lane here tonight, as the first 2 playoff races saw back-to-back playoff contenders locking themselves into this round. So Next time we come to you guys in 2 weeks, there will be more of an emphasis on points. We know that at least 3 drivers are going to point their way into the Final Four. Grant Wesley, we mentioned, 28 points above the cut line, 18 points for Chuck McClure, Joe DeSpirito, 12 points above the cut line. They're, I'll put this in air quotes, safe for the moment. They can play a little defense in the elimination race, but here's where it starts to get interesting. 4th in the standings. We will be talking about that a lot in a couple of weeks. Right now, Denny Carroll holds that spot. Rest of the competition, Josh Metallic, -1. John Godfrey, -5. Rodney Sullins, -6. Brian Schilling, -7. So nobody right now is safe to advance or to be eliminated. A lot can change between now and the checkered flag in the upcoming 4th playoff race.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see who, when Kyle, especially when Kyle takes over in 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be the 4 that's going to claim those spots to fight for the championship in these last coming races here. Oh, I don't know why my voice is going out. I sound probably terrible. It's probably a good thing you guys couldn't hear me at all during this race.
But it is really going to be interesting, as you say, to follow this battle for the 4 playoff spots, a chance to fight for the championship in the Final Four. That, of course, will be beginning in 3 weeks' time. We got to set the stage, though, in a couple of weeks. Again, a reminder to everybody that if you tune in to FRN, we will not be covering the Aero 88 series on Wednesday night, and both Flatout Racing Network and Tarnation TV will not be covering the Talladega Challenge series next Thursday night. Both series are off for Thanksgiving week. We will resume coverage of this series, though, in 2 weeks' time as we venture into the month of December. December 4th is when we will be back to cover playoff race number 4, elimination race number 2, to whittle the field down from the Elite 8 to the Final 4. Congratulations once again to Richard Martin as he finally finds himself back in victory lane. His first victory of the season is his first top 5 on the season. A well-deserved win tonight on Fuel Strategy. For Blaine Donlin, Michael Norman, I'm Seth Cole. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time as you've been watching a broadcast tonight courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network and Tarnation TV.
Lane.